welcome to the CommuniCast, brought to you by Fappy's Fabulous Factory of Fluorescent Ferrets. I'm your host, Daystar Clarion. I have a question for Fappy. Some say...
What's that?
Some say that, and I quote, some animal rights groups think making fluorescent ferrets are a crime against nature. What do you say to such criticisms?
Well, fluorescent ferrets? Well, I don't know how that would even happen in the first place.
They can actually do this kind of thing, you know. They introduce genes from jellyfish.
Oh, God. Well, then they're just making Pokemon. I'm totally cool with that.
Oh my God. Pokemans.
I thought this was a quite widely known fact that they introduce genes from certain jellyfish to make other animals glow in the dark.
Yeah, it is. But, but you've taught before you've been introduced. Now you've ruined everything.
I'm sorry. Fappy seemed a bit lost. I thought I'd help out.
For someone who owns a factory,
I'm just trying to think of the applications for this.
He's just not very knowledgeable of the subject.
Apparently not. All
he
I
just
know
throws
is there's
money
way
at
too
it.
much alliteration in there, and it's hurting my brain.
I was going to play off this whole thing, and then you just went, huh? What the fuck are you talking about? You ruined everything.
What was supposed to happen? Give me the breakdown.
It's not important now. You just doesn't matter. Okay.
This is why we can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things. Okay.
I ruined it all.
Okay, so we've got Chairman Miaow, who is with a combination of blood magic and crosses ancient internet's arcane lore. We managed to resurrect him from the drunk cast. Say hi.
Hello.
He's hurting inside. He's a brave man. He's putting on a face for us. He's actually in agony.
I can only imagine.
And then our other guest is Marter. Say hi, Marter.
Hi.
He's a man of few words.
Got that right.
He's also a mod.
It is a mod, but that's not important. But it is important because I don't want to get banned. But it's not important.
It's totally important.
It is important. It's totally important.
Oh shit, the mod's
Daystar, you're gonna get banned. What are you doing here, man?
Your
What's
favoritism is gonna
here?
go down the drain, Daystar.
But seriously.
But then what will I get blamed? How will I get blamed for something?
Well, it won't matter, you won't be
You
here.
can still derail threads.
Oh man.
No, let's not talk about favoritism.
They'll go back and retroactively ban you for every single derail you've ever done.
I actually think there's been more derails of people saying Daystar will derail this thread than there have actually been Daystar derailing threads.
Exactly. It's sort of like, I mean, we had this conversation in the Brevengers chat a while back. I was just basically talking about how I don't really derail anything any more than anybody else. But some people just sort of, it's like confirmation biased. When it happens, people go, oh, it's another Daystar derail, and it's just, I don't know.
And we all know who you mean by some people.
But there we go. It's been. It's only been the first. 4 minutes.
We won't mention them.
It's only been 4 minutes, and it's already derailed already. So think about what you will.
Well, I mean, you did derail your own introduction, so that's.
You did that.
That's hard to concept.
Your response wasn't what I wanted it to be.
No,
Yeah, I think that was probably my fault with talking about Pokemon.
Real life Pokemon.
I love Pokemons. I want a Squirtle.
Bob
I can't remember what it is, but there's something in science that has been named after Pikachu because the scientists said it had lightning fast moves.
I think that's Fappy's dad. He has lightning fast moves.
Well, he does when he's on coke.
Oh, burn.
Yeah.
Who is being burnt here, really?
I don't know.
I'm not
really.
sure.
That was it. That was more,
I'll elaborate on the Father's Day podcast.
that was more like a burn with a question mark at the end. I wasn't quite sure. Burn?
And if the police department from New York City is listening, that didn't happen. What?
What? I didn't hear anything. Nothing happened.
Well, I don't think you can actually be arrested for that because isn't it technically that only the possession or sale of drugs is illegal, whereas the actual consumption isn't?
Something like that. I don't know, it's confusing.
So if you don't carry them, is that you just find them and you go, oh, and then just use them on the spot, that's not illegal?
As far as I'm aware, because I don't think people can be arrested for having had drugs unless they're driving or something, but they can be arrested for possession or dealing.
Or any behavior you get into under the drugs.
Yeah,
I
that's
suppose,
true.
Yeah.
Drug grumps. Okay.
Oh god.
Yeah, we shouldn't really linger on the topic of
We
drugs.
should probably talk about something relevant.
There-
Okay, we should probably get on the same topic we sort of did last week. What has everybody been playing this week? I sort of haven't really been playing anything different, so it's been mostly Dark Souls, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Okami HD. I've been playing some Skyrim. I actually got back into Skyrim recently, which isn't that bad. I've sort of I still can't believe how freaking dumb it was that Bethesda made it so vampires had glowy eyes. It's just what the fuck were they thinking? Just so
They should definitely have made them so they sparkled in the sun.
That's what I mean. Is that?
Well, do you have Dawnguard installed?
Yeah, I got Dawnguard. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know why they changed that,
Yeah.
because they used to be okay, and then they like gave them these crazy weird eyes.
And yeah,
I don't like
facial
it.
features and so, I mean, you know, pre-Dawnguard, it was sort of like they looked a bit gaunter and a bit paler, and the eyes were sort of a reddish colour, but it was nothing that gave them away too much. But
Over the top.
with the new one, it's just sort of like they have some of them, depending on the race and gender you have, some of them have like bat noses. It's freaking weird. It's just like, and then you're getting comments
Yeah,
by.
and the best part is, I didn't even realize that the court wizard of Solitude is a vampire until Dawnguard, when they changed what all the vampires looked like. So the first time I go up there after installing the DLC, I'm like, oh hello, blah blah blah. Holy shit, there's a vampire in here!
Yeah, exactly. It was sort of like, you know, unless you knew it, you
It's got to be
couldn't
kind of
nail it
jolting
down.
when, it's kind of like, oh look, it's the where did you say Solitude? It's like, oh hello,
Yeah.
Jarl of Solitude. Have you noticed that your court wizard is a vampire?
Is that what?
I can tell because she has crazy orange eyes and she looks evil as fuck.
And it's just, I mean, the comments you get from random passers-by just make it hilarious. They're like, "What? You afraid of your skin is pale as snow? Are you afraid of the sun or something?" Oh, I don't know. You know, the fucking yellow eyes might give it away.
I played a Khajiit that was a werewolf once, and I gotta say, walking by guards who make comments about you being like a smelly mutt and stuff like that was very strange and made no sense. I'm like, excuse me, I'm a cat, alright? I only turn into a werewolf when I get really angry.
Yeah, just Fappy's just getting.
It doesn't even make any
He's
sense.
just getting affronted by it. It's like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. As you can see, I'm a Khajiit. I find your racist slurs most unnecessary.
I walk on warm sands during the day, and when the moon's full, you know, I might eat your Nord children.
What is this? This sounds like a recording for one of those dating videos or something.
I like candlelit walks along a beach and eating children.
I also like the nice the hitting the skooma pipe every once in a while. You know, it's good.
But anyway, what have you been playing, Fappy, apart from your top secret game that you can't talk about?
Well, I was actually playing the exact same game as you. I was playing Skyrim this weekend.
Oh, the Skyrim.
And I gotta say, for like ever since I want to say probably about 6 months or so ago, I've been playing on expert, which is kind of like it's the hard difficulty, but it's not like the super hard difficulty, right? And I figured I'd do that for now on, considering the fact I've played it long enough that I should be fine playing it on a harder setting. That's what I usually do with games that I play way too much.
Yeah.
And like Skyrim has this problem where, you know, Oblivion had this level scaling issue where, you know, bandits at level 20 were running around in full Daedric, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? And like every goblin was a goblin king, and there were ogres in every dungeon, and it just got to be a pain in the ass. Well, I don't know what it is, but Skyrim's problem is that enemy strength can be very arbitrary, and being low level and expert can be like playing Russian roulette. You're like, oh, it's a bandit chief. Oh, he got within melee range. Oh, I'm getting kill cammed at full health.
Yeah,
That was fun.
I recently installed a mod on my PC Skyrim called Dance of Death. It adds extra kill cams and stuff, but that's not why I got it. I got it because it can turn off the enemy kill cams, because I just found them so cheap where you were getting randomly insta-killed by something.
Yeah,
It's like
I mean,
I was
it's
just
so
about to
dumb.
drink a health
Yeah,
potion.
the problem with the enemy kill cams is sort of like, I mean, if it was a normal hit, it wouldn't do enough to kill you, but then because you just happen to be an arbitrary amount of low health, they managed to trigger them for some reason.
Yeah, and
Yep.
because of the instant way they're triggered, you can't dodge or block or take a health potion. There's no options available to you other than being instantly killed.
That's so dumb. Drives me mad.
Okay, what have you been playing?
So yeah, anyone who plays PC Skyrim, get Dance of Death.
So Marder, what have you been playing?
Or possibly Death Dancing.
Dancing. I think Marder's asleep. What have you been playing, Marder?
Who's up next?
No, I'm here. I've been playing The Walking Dead because it was on sale on Steam and it was recommended to me, so I figured why not get it? And then 12 hours later, I woke up and it was beaten.
What, so you fell asleep
Oh,
halfway
wow.
through it, and then it
Well,
carried
more
on
more
without
I
you?
went into a game coma and it just everything else just sort of went away and the game was all that was there, and that was some
Is that a-
experience.
Is that a good thing for the game or a bad thing? That the fact that I imagine that's a good thing.
No, it's a good thing. The game is it's that immersive, and the story it's I think it's the most emotional game I've ever played.
Oh my god!
Really?
I got to get this. Everyone keeps on talking about
Yeah,
how good it is. I got to get this.
I would definitely give it a similar review because I played it a while ago. I haven't completed it yet. I'm just past episode 4, I think, or possibly 3. And obviously I won't spoil anything, but I thought one thing it does really well is it makes you have an interest in the characters. And, I mean, because you play as Lee, and he sort of forms this bond with a little girl called Clementine, and
Yeah.
by proxy you form a bond with her, and I got so defensive of her when I was playing of it. And it was just like I was almost yelling at the screen like, get the fuck off her, you
Yeah.
bastard, half the time.
Have you played Persona 4, Meow?
No Persona 4 here.
Or is anybody on the chat?
I don't know. I mean,
I've never played
I
any
haven't played
Persona.
it. I mean, I might, if I do get a Vita, I might pick it up because it comes out in the UK in like March next year or something like that.
Yeah.
So I might get it, but no.
But I was gonna say that sounds very similar, like in the context of, you know, you get very attached to the characters, very emotional story, and the main character. I don't want to like go into detail. Basically, the main character forms a bond with a little girl in that also. So
Because it's Japanese.
it's kind of a similar
it's
thing going on.
Creepy.
Okay, it's not like that in the game, all right? It's the exception of the rule.
I've got to say, on the subject of the PS Vita, I got one a while ago and I absolutely love it. I mentioned this in possibly the drunk cast or one of the fail casts, and you know, it's quite expensive for a handheld, and you know, it has a lot of faults. But I feel if people gave it a chance, then the developers would give it a chance, and it could turn out to be one of the best handheld systems we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of the Vita, but I can't legitimize buying one because there just isn't really any games I want on it at the moment. I mean, the system itself looks fine. I'm fine with using the system, but there's just nothing on it I want to play.
And I'm just not a handheld person, really. I mean, I might get it after like a price drop, a pretty big one. Because there are some games that are out, including Persona 4 Golden that just came out in the US, and some other games that I might want to check out at some
definitely get
point.
Disgaea 3.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Yeah, I love Disgaea.
I played
3's a good one.
Disgaea. I bought it on the DS. I think it was the first one, and it's just so grindy. For some of the stuff in it, it's just.
I like
it's
that
so
kind of
grindy.
thing.
I usually
I'm
do,
a sucker
which is
for that
weird.
kind of stuff, really.
Which is, I mean, I love stuff like Monster Hunter, where there's a lot of grinding in regards to equipment and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's just something about Disgaea which is just I don't know. I just didn't like it that much.
I hate grinding.
I could never get into Monster Hunter. I could never get into Monster Hunter because I had no one to play it with, and so I got to a certain point where it was just too hard, or rather, it was too much effort and it took too long.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those games where, I mean, it has to have the online component, I think, for it to be good, because I mean, there's nothing better than hopping online with some other hunters and just trashing a giant dinosaur in the face with a huge sword.
Killing Godzilla.
I think that's one thing that could definitely save the PS Vita, is bringing out a Monster Hunter title.
I mean,
for it, because
I've always said that if
instantly that would be thousands upon thousands of sales.
Yeah, I mean, I always said
and they're
that
all Japanese.
If they bring out Monster Hunter on the Vita, I'd buy it straight away. If they ever bought it out for it.
What's Miaow been playing?
Well, at the moment, I mentioned it in one of the failcasts as well. I think MechWarrior Online. It's I mean, the MechWarrior series is quite an old one.
You were getting into the
you were telling me about that the other day
and stuff like that. That was interesting. How it's just like you can get the different weight classes, and some of them are just like paper, just get shredded apart.
Yeah. I mean, there's some very blatant balance issues at the moment because it is still in beta, and there's like certain mechs that you will see about 20 of in every couple of games. Like, there's people who, if someone takes a commando as a light mech, then you're like, yay, that's a free Jenna for the other team, because commandos are useless. They have, like, I think I mentioned this as well, actually, they have half the weapon capability, half the armor, half the speed, and they fill the same weight class. So someone on the other team will have a light of the same class, but a better mech. So they've just wasted that slot. Same if someone takes an awesome rather than an Atlas, because they're 20 tons less weapons, less armor, and it's just pointless for people to take those, but they take them anyway, and I don't really know why.
I just got a picture of Mao sitting in a giant mech going, what are these bitches doing? Just like, oh, fuck this, I'm out of here. Just walking away in a giant robot.
Which Mech Warrior was it? I remember there was one for the Xbox. I think it was the original Xbox, where when you played multiplayer, if you died, you became just your pilot, and you could run around, and the only thing you could do was run around and hit a button to blow your body up, to self-destruct your human body.
I can't say I've seen that one.
It was fucking hilarious.
I think I know which one it is. It may have been Mech Assault, which was not a very popular one.
That's what it was. I just remember dying and then just running around like as a little person and just blowing myself up. So stupid.
Yeah, that was not a very popular one, if I remember rightly.
I think it was. I don't think it was a launch title, but it was very early on in Xbox's life, I think. I'm pretty sure.
What, the first Xbox?
Yeah, I think. Because Chrome Hounds was early in 360, right?
Yeah, Chrome Hounds was early 360.
Kinky.
That game had a lot of potential, but they kind of just...
Yeah, I remember going on the multiplayer. After a while, all you ever saw were these people who'd used extension parts to put armor all over their mech, which they shouldn't have been able to do, but they were because of... I mean, it was very customizable, but there were just certain builds that everyone used, and it was a bit silly, really.
I think
Although I did do one thing where I used extension parts to put a giant cannon between the legs of one of my robots, just for inappropriateness.
That's something Fappy would do.
Bonertron.
Bonertron.
It was brilliant though, because when it fired, it did this giant thrust because the cannon was so powerful.
I was one of those guys who sent in the what was it? They had some spore contest where you sent in your creatures you created. I was one of the people who sent in a penis.
Yeah, it was something like they have to design it in a certain way so that the crotch is attached to the arms, so that when you use the attack button, it makes the character thrust or something like that.
Oh god.
And it's just
oh Jesus!
I love how
just
it's
as long as you don't put a bite attack on there or something.
Yeah, I just love how it's like someone spent thousands upon thousands of hours making this game and making all the different permutations and stuff like that, and then someone just came along and did this spore equivalent of just drawing a penis on the side of a bus.
Basically.
Wasn't there like an acid spit attack?
Oh god.
Oh god.
I see where this is going.
Just because if there was, I mean, it's obvious the implications of that within the context of our conversation.
Oh, of course. And I never actually played the full game, but from what I heard from other people, where you can like visit other players' worlds and stuff, I heard a lot of people would just like visit other worlds and it would just be penis planets everywhere.
Does that really surprise you?
No.
I was about to ask, what was Marta's opinion on penis monsters?
You don't want to know what my opinion on penis monsters is.
We do. I think it's
Now I do want to know.
Important information that the escapist community needs to know.
Well, it's I don't even know. It's kind of a waste of time, but I guess that's what people want to do with
That
their
wasn't
games.
nearly as controversial as I was expecting it to be.
I don't have
That was a
controversial
level-headed
opinions.
response.
Come on.
Yeah, you need a controversial opinion. At least mention like sexism and the Mass Effect ending a couple of
How are you
times.
supposed to get people
Yeah,
against you if you don't
especially the Star
if
Child.
you don't say something mildly incriminating? How are people supposed to hate you for no reason?
Well, some people do hate me for no reason.
Exactly. You need to make a reason.
It's probably because you like Scorpion King 3.
I don't even get why that would be the case.
It's just like,
Wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We haven't gotten to Scorpion King 3
we
yet.
can't talk about that yet.
We gotta pace
We gotta
ourselves
pace
here.
ourselves. I forgot what the next. Oh, we're talking about threads, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We can edit that bit out.
Good job.
Okay, so
Ruining everything.
So, what's been happening on the threads this week? I think the one we have to talk about is I think it's still ongoing actually. The thread about, well, at the time of recording, the thread about the permaban avatar and how some people are finding it offensive. Well, from mildly offensive to, oh my god, I can't believe the Escapists would show this. I hate these guys. I'm never going to visit the site ever again.
You know, the most important thing about that thread is that I learned that the person hitting the kid in that scene was a younger Johnny Depp.
I
never
discovered
noticed
for
that.
the
Yeah, I
first
found that
time.
amazing.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's Johnny Depp. He's punching somebody in the face.
I remember actually the first time I saw that, it was quite a small image, and I thought it was Nathan Fillion.
What with
Really?
with great
He's
80s
kind of
hair.
skinny for Nathan Fillion. I mean, Nathan Fillion's really fat, right, Daystar?
He's got kind of fat.
How dare you say that to me?
Come on, you have to admit, Nathan Fillion has gone from what he was in Firefly to quite a chubby fellow.
Yeah, but as I keep saying, it's probably part of his character, and like Castle's probably fat, but not Nathan Fillion. He's not fat. He could lose that weight at any time and then be back in the cowboy duster and be doing space cowboy stuff all over the place.
You just want Nathan Fillion in a cowboy outfit.
I don't think he's quite Christian Bale with the weight loss.
Oh yeah, Christian Bale's fucking crazy about that.
Yeah,
Oh, is it- what?
don't get me started on Christian Bale.
He's a method actor, isn't he? So he has to experience it firsthand to get into the
No, he's
character
a
or some
prick.
shit like that. I don't know.
He goes from He-Man to Skeletor like on the drop of a
I think
hat.
somebody who does it better is oh no, crap! I forgot. Isn't he played Bane in the Dark Knight Rises?
Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah.
Hardy. I mean, he can.
Yeah,
I
Tom
think-
Hardy's crazy.
I think he does it a lot better. He can bulk up in no time and sort of lose the weight, but he doesn't kind of just go over the top.
Bale went from the Machinist to Batman in 3 months.
That's insane. I saw Machinist and he was fucking paper thin in that movie.
I really think that he can't act.
Ooh.
He's okay in some stuff. I mean,
Well,
like,
he kind of has an Oscar.
He kind of has one.
like I
Yeah,
think
that
he makes,
doesn't mean
I think
that
he makes a
much,
good
really.
Bruce Wayne.
It's a matter of
I
debate.
like his Bruce Wayne.
His Bruce Wayne's good.
I don't
but-
like his Batman, but I like his Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit. I don't know. When your film's called Batman and Batman's the least interesting person in the film, something's gone wrong.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I don't think that's Bale's fault.
No, I don't think it's his fault. No.
Honestly, I think he did a much better job, strangely enough, as Batman in Batman Begins than he did in the other two films.
Well, we didn't have that voice exactly how that voice ended up being in the
Yeah.
first one.
That's true.
I probably haven't seen the right Bale films, but I mean, what I've seen of him, he was the worst part of every movie I saw with him in it. He always put on some voice that just didn't quite sit right. And
I hated him in Salvation. I mean, Terminator Salvation
Yeah.
wasn't a good movie to begin with, but he was really bad in that.
There was another one I watched. It was him and The Prestige. Now that was a really good movie, but he was awful in that, I thought.
I don't remember him being particularly bad in that movie. I know Hugh Jackman kind of stole the show a little bit in that one, but
Well, it might be because he was like he seemed to be doing a really weird accent.
I thought he was using his
I don't
own
remember
accent
it.
in that.
Well, it didn't seem like his own accent. He just, I don't know, he's always doing something that just puts me off him. I don't know what it is.
Was Michael Caine in that movie? I don't remember. Wasn't he like...
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. He was the manager.
That's right.
Okay, makes everything better. Have you,
Dude, Michael Caine
he was the one who invented their tricks.
if you thought Bale's accents were really bad, you should hear Kane's accents from some of the movies he did earlier in his career. I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me, but there's a World War II movie where he's a German officer and he goes undercover as a Polish officer, and his accent is exactly the same for every single role. So he's got a Cockney accent.
Oh God!
When he's a German officer and there's a Polish officer, it's just the
actually,
same accent.
Was that a bridge too far?
I think so.
What? I've seen that movie. Wait, was that the movie where they are like, shit? They're all like trying to siege some city, and like the whole concept of a bridge too far is that they were trying to do too much, and they just fucked it up.
So. I mean, I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me, but I just thought it was just really funny, just seeing Michael Caine surrounded by actors who were at least trying to sound different, and then just Michael Caine's like, just fuck it now, just talk with a Cockney accent for everything.
Well, Michael Caine
I don't even
isn't
remember
good
Michael
at
Caine in that
accents,
movie.
So.
He's just like, I'm really bad at it, guys. I just won't do it.
Well, you should.
He was really good in a. He was really. What was that movie where he plays an older guy? Well, I mean, he is an old guy, but the whole point of the movie is he's an old guy that like gets into some like crazy shit where
Harry Brown.
He's like going around killing. Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yeah, that was. It's a fun one.
I'm trying to remember what exactly is the plot, because I remember the part where he like shoots that guy in the face who's like growing weed. That's one of the only parts of the movie I can remember.
He's just kind of sick of the gangsta lifestyle, so to speak, so he just goes and kills a bunch of gangsters.
Just to prove a point.
That's an awesome movie.
How do you make gang culture relevant?
Just be an
Kill all
old
the
bastard.
gangs.
I just think introducing Michael Caine to gang culture would make it better.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. We were talking about the thread of the week, weren't we?
Yeah, we got derailed.
Not
we
yet.
got derailed again. Let's just nobody blame me for this, because, but someone will.
We go from fucking permaban threads to Michael Caine.
How did we
like
get
that.
there? I'm trying to figure out how we got here.
Yeah, this chat goes from permaban threads to Michael Caine in 10 seconds.
That could be the motto.
10 seconds flat.
Permaban to Michael Caine.
I actually had to mention this really quick because talking about Michael Caine earlier and his lack of accents, or his accents sounding identical, reminded me, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this really shitty game, but my girlfriend over the weekend for some reason fell in love with this terrible RPG called Two Worlds.
I remember it.
And the voice acting?
I've heard of how bad it is.
The voice acting in that game... The voice acting in that game is so atrocious, and the best part is that they didn't even get a unique voice actor for the protagonist. So the protagonist is talking to a dude who has the exact same voice, just back and forth. It's like the same. It's just the same guy talking to himself.
I think one of the worst acted things I've ever seen, if we're not going into the realms of things like The Room, has to be In the Name of the King, which is really bizarre because In the Name of the King has some pretty decent actors in it. I mean, it has Jason Statham's all right, and then it has Ron Perlman in it, and he's like, that's Ron Perlman. He can
Ron
act.
Perlman was in Scorpion King 3, so there you
It
go.
reminds me of another movie that's pretty bad but has decent actors in it. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Which you haven't seen.
Are you gonna say Hellboy? Because I liked Hellboy.
No, I haven't seen it, to be honest. No, I don't really want to.
I've heard the second one is good, and I thought the first one was alright.
So I can actually when I do slate it, then I actually have a position of strength to stand from.
I think that homework for next time Marta's on the show is that everyone else who's on the show has to have watched Scorpion King 3 and made notes.
Yeah,
Well,
I
so we
agree.
get quizzed on it, so we so it's like trying to get us out as imposters if we haven't seen it.
Yes.
Yes.
He'll burn us all alive. He'll feed us to his scorpion legions.
Yeah, he'll probably ask really obscure questions like, what hand was such and such a character holding his sword in during the scene where this happens and that happens?
And the funny thing is, it's entirely possible that that hand changes in the scene.
Actually,
Oh, it's that kind of film.
Is it kind of just there's no consistency between scenes?
Well, no, it's not as bad as like something that happens a lot in, but it's possible that happens.
I love it. It's possible.
Reminds me
it's
of,
something that may happen if you watch it, or it may not happen if you watch it. Like it's completely sort of just in question.
It changes every
What?
time.
wasn't it Ocean's
Schrodinger's
11 that
Scorpion
had...
King 3.
In Ocean's 11, didn't Brad Pitt, he was always doing something in a scene, and it always like changed every time it
He was
like
eating
shot
in
to something
every
else
scene.
and shot back
I
down.
think he was being a wanker,
Yeah.
which is pretty much what he does in every film.
Ooh.
Aw,
I don't know.
come on.
Oh, now Daystar has a controversial opinion on an
I
actor.
don't know. He has a.
If I can say anything, the best thing about Brad Pitt is, and I don't care what you say, Daystar, because you're wrong if you argue this, is that he's got very good range.
I don't know. I just find his face very.
I think he does.
punchable. It's just. I don't know.
Has he?
There's something about his face.
Well,
that,
he gets punched in the face a lot, so, I mean, in the movies
those
anyway.
parts of the film.
I actually I do like Brad Pitt, but one of the things I would say about him wouldn't be that he's got a lot of range.
I don't know, I've seen very different roles that he's filled before.
He plays a bunch of
I
different
mean-
characters, but on the emotional spectrum, he's kind of right in the middle a lot.
I don't know, his character in, like, try to compare his, like, Snatch character to his character in, like, Seven. They're pretty different, I would say.
Yeah, actually, I'd say Seven is one of the few different ones I've seen him in, because most of his roles seem to fit that sort of the character he has in Snatch and Fight Club, where he's this sort of wacky guy.
He's, like,
But,
crazy, yeah.
12
No,
Monkeys.
no, he was good in Seven. Yeah, 12 Monkeys as well.
What's
He's
in the
that crazy guy
box?
again.
I think we. Did we get everyone's opinion on the permaban avatar thing? I don't remember. It was
Nope.
so long ago.
Probably
No,
not.
I don't think we got anybody's opinions on that yet.
People were overreacting the end.
Well, but, I mean, some people were just sort of really blowing it out of proportion, like it was like I can't remember who honestly, even if I knew who posted it, I wouldn't say the name because that's not my thing. But they were just sort of equating it to showing child abuse, and that it was like despicable of the most despicable of it is like the highest caliber of things you can do.
Really?
There were a couple of people who did very specifically compare it to child abuse and say that it was advocating it. And it's just like, this is from a film.
Yeah, it's like-
Are you saying Johnny Depp is advocating child abuse?
He might be.
I haven't watched the film, so
It's possible,
I don't
yeah.
know what context it is, but I imagine what it is the kid's being a dick, so Johnny Depp punches him in the face.
I mean, he's got that
Yeah,
smug smile on his face right before he gets hit in the
think
face.
I think someone posted a link to the scene it's from in the thread, and the guy is being a dick before he gets punched in the face.
It's one of those things where context is everything, and it's sort of like some people just jumping all over it like it's advocating child abuse, which is like, really, guys? Really?
What I find really strange in the thread is like that there's nobody saying, well, I don't really like it because it's a bit disrespectful to the person who was banned. Everyone's saying like, oh, it's really horrible to the person who was banned. You should change it immediately.
and it's like,
there's no like
yeah.
reasonable argument. It's like just demands.
It's like, well, but the person was banned. It's sort of like you're sort of missing the point why they've been given that avatar in the first place.
I just like the fact that all it took was one little fun thing for the mod to do. I think it was Paul who did it. I don't remember exactly, but
Gruberman, yeah.
all I did was change everybody's avatars to the little grumpy cat, and the post rate skyrocketed. And then from that point on, it was like 90% of the posts were just people being like, I just wanted to stop in here so I could see myself as a grumpy cat. Oh, I'm satisfied now. Bye.
I think the funny thing with that is it was a surprising number of people who are like, oh, why is everyone grumpy cat? It's like, oh, obviously you're not familiar with mod shenanigans.
Well, yeah, a lot of people who came in and they posted and they're like, what's going on? And then they would say edit and they're like, holy shit, I'm Grumpy Cat too.
Well, again, I think that's sort of something
I'm surprised that
Sorry, that's some of that touches on it. I mean, it's like a lot of people were sort of blaming the moderators, but like I think Marter said it in the Brave Avengers chat. It's like they have nothing to do with it. It's the admins, the Escapist staff who actually.
Yeah, if the moderators had the opportunity to change people's avatars, we'd be doing it a lot more.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, I mean, it's just when the admin guys have just got nothing else better to do. So let's have some shenanigans.
what I'm surprised hasn't been touched on in that thread at all is no one has linked to the red button or the spiraling thing. because I mean those are classic
I
mod
saw somebody
shenanigans.
link to the red button at least.
Bubble Breaker.
I'm pretty sure somebody linked to the red
Everyone
button.
loves Bubble Breaker.
Oh yeah, Bubble Breaker. Oh
The
god.
only way to win is to not play.
Don't bring that up again. The only time I've ever been Biebered is when Mud forcibly Biebered me. Because, no, actually, I remember it. Daystar, it was you. It was your fault. You said something. I didn't even say anything. I was just talking to you. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You've never been Biebered before. And he Biebered me. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was just like... it's like I was...
Doesn't it...
It was like I was caught holding the gun, and then I just sort of pointed at Fappy, and it was him, and he went, oh, okay, Biebered Fappy instead.
Is it just that it turns everyone's avatar into Bieber?
Yeah, Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I think something like...
Just looking
I
like a douche.
24 hours, and then, I mean, I think it gets extended if you press it again or something like that. It stacks.
I probably shouldn't mention this, but I don't think it's ever happened to me. I always assumed that it changed avatars to Bieber and then put music in the
24 hours
background
from
from
the
him
last
or
time
something.
you press it, I think.
Okay, yeah, because if it's stacked, some people would still have it today, since
Yeah,
Bubble
just, like,
Breaker.
press it over and over and over.
By the way, I'm surprised that people haven't figured it out yet, but now that we're talking about mod shenanigans, I've been told the secret of achieving Super Saiyan status in the forums.
Oh my god, yes.
And I've only taught this secret to one other person who is also in this chat right
That
now.
would be me. We know the secret.
So I don't want to give it away because it is a secret, but let's just say that
Mao is curious. He's so very curious right now.
all I'm gonna say, because I made
Honestly,
a
I have
promise
no idea what
to
you're
one of the
talking about.
gods, one of the gods of the website. I made a promise to him that I wouldn't ruin it. I'll just say that to achieve Super Saiyan status, you must be familiar with the gods of Okami, or not Okami, Konami. Same thing. You mixed.
Freudian slip.
I mixed up the
You meant
consonant.
Okami.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you. Konami. I'll leave
Oh,
it
I
at
hate
that.
you so much right now.
I'll leave
I
it
just
at that.
did it.
Just like, I hate you guys.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm
spoil
rather
it, don't
familiar with
spoil
the
it.
gods of Konami. I'm not going to spoil it, but
Is it a bit?
oh my god, that's brilliant and terrible at the same
It's the
time.
best thing in the universe ever.
How's it feel to
I
be a
think-
Super Saiyan now, Mal?
Yeah, I feel so much more powerful. I could take on the whole forum, I think.
Marta, do you know of this fabulous secret?
I don't actually.
Oh well, I want to tell him, but I don't want to tell him. How do we do this? How
That's
do we
fine.
progress from here? How do we as Super Saiyans decide to dole out our power?
I think
Well-
when this episode comes out, somebody will tell Martyr, or he'll figure it out.
Or I just
People listening will probably figure it out.
probably. Or I'll
I'd
just,
expect to
you know,
see a
ban
thread
you or
about
something.
it in a week or something like that when
Oh,
this
he'll
goes
ban us.
to air or something like that.
I just want to say I'm quite impressed that I still remember that because I haven't used it in a very long time.
You're getting dangerously close to spoiling it now.
Well, even if I did spoil it, I wouldn't spoil what it did. So
It's the
Yeah,
journey.
but if everybody has it, then it's not cool anymore because as the amazing hipsters as that we are,
Then it becomes the Cell Saga where everybody's just chilling out as Super Saiyans.
that's the dumbest thing they ever did. It's just like oh, there's a Super Saiyan once every 10,000 years, then all of a sudden every man and his dog is a Super Saiyan.
I must say I've never watched any of it.
What?
I've never seen the appeal.
Oh my god, I don't even know you anymore.
You're not a fan of banana trees and taking a dump, because that's what Dragon Ball Z is.
Well, it's one of those things I've been meaning to watch for ages. Like another one is Avatar, not the film because that sucks, but the
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
show.
never watched the Nickelodeon cartoon
Yeah,
either.
Me neither.
The only thing that always stands out of that is how many people try and validate it as actual anime. Say no, it's, and then some people say it's made by Americans, therefore it's not anime, and then people just sort of jumping down people's throats just saying because it's the same style. It's no, it's totally anime.
One thing I'd like to question is why the fuck does it matter?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah,
anime
exactly.
it's just a word for animation, isn't
Yeah,
it?
again, it's sort of, it goes full
Yeah.
circle to the permaban thing again, doesn't it? It's just talking about how the smallest things seem to incite
Semantics.
such a rage in people. It's incredible.
The weeboos go fucking crazy.
It's like,
Everybody loses their minds.
was like, I don't know. Well, I don't know if Marta would have dealt with it, but were there any reports in that one thread, Marta, where you're getting lots of, this person mildly disagrees with my opinion, so they must have hit report?
That happens in every thread, so yes.
In every thread.
How does reporting actually work? Does it get sent to a specific mod, or does it get sent to everyone and they deal with it as they see fit?
It goes to a big queue, and the number of reports bumps it to the top. So if you report something, well, if a number of people report something, it'll go to the top, and we'll see it first and deal with it first.
Yeah. But everything,
so what? Can just any mod look at the queue and then deal with it as they see fit and confirm that it's been dealt with or whatever?
As long as they have permission. Like when I started being a mod, I was only in user reviews, so even though something in off-topic could have gotten reported 10 times, I couldn't touch it because I was specified to that one forum.
And then there's just and then there's RMP, which nobody touches.
Actually, no.
And you're
someone, I think it's Sushi I think he's the one that's designated to RMP right now.
God rest his soul.
He was a brave man.
Yeah, Marter, you're kind of got a more broad moderating job now, right? Because I'd imagine doing the user review would get kind of boring because I never see anybody actually doing anything wrong in there at all.
Yeah, well, and
everybody seems to follow the rules there.
They didn't always, but at one point it was bad enough that a spam bot got left for 3 days with nobody reporting it.
Oh God.
So that's when I started doing that, and once that got cleaned up, then I just moved to the entire forum.
Oh, okay.
Was there explosions?
Yeah, because I can only think of one thread that's ever spiraled out of control there. There's that pony one.
Yeah, it's usually has something to do with ponies.
See, I always say this. I always say ponies start flame wars, and then in the one thread I mentioned that it doesn't happen, so everyone just thinks I'm a liar now.
Well, it's irony because I'm not a fan of it, but I don't really care either way.
Yeah,
but
I think it's...
people say it preaches love and kindness and acceptance, and then somehow these discussions always turn into fucking nuclear apocalypses.
It's really ironic.
Well, I've seen all of the first 2 series because my girlfriend was watching it when we were still living together a while back. We're not broken up or anything, we're just not living together at the moment. But yeah, she watched all of it, so I watched all of it by extension. And it's a well-made show, and I mean it has moments, but it is made for kids, whatever anyone says. I'm not saying you can't watch it, and I'm not saying you can't enjoy watching it because I enjoyed watching it. But anyone who acts like it's preaching this massive message of love and tolerance that everyone should adhere to, and that it's this amazing thing, I mean, I just don't quite get that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that always annoying. Yeah, enjoy the show, watch the show. Whatever you like is whatever you like. But when people try to make it out like it's something deeper than it actually is, that's what usually sort of annoys me a little bit. It's like it's like you said, it's like it's trying to spread
annoying about anything though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the word for it is pretentious, isn't it? When people are trying to make out like it's deeper than it is, and it's really not. It's just
if you have to readjust your hipster glasses before you start talking, then there's a problem.
When somebody starts the sentence, well, actually, then that's when you know it's going to go down some pretty dodgy territory.
Well, in fact, actually. But the funny thing is, I've watched the new My Little Pony a little bit, and it's kind of funny. I've watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but it's not really my thing.
I don't know. I mean,
the good thing is that like a lot of that and a very small portion of cartoons these days seem to be geared towards children and sending positive messages. And the funny thing is, you can't even make the argument that it was better back in the day, because if you watch like Boomerang or something, I was watching an episode of the Smurfs with my little brother the other day, and the message, I don't remember exactly what it was, but the message at the end of the episode was like totally fucked up and twisted. I was like, this was in the Smurfs, really? What the fuck was that?
It's just like the old the animated Sonic show where it's just like, if somebody touches you in a place that you don't like, that's no good.
Actually, there's kind of a very, I guess, subtle reference to that. Not specifically that Sonic Says, but the concept of Sonic Says in Wreck-It Ralph.
That's no good.
See,
Gotta go fast.
I had the I had the Sonic series on VHS back when that was a thing, but I never saw the Sonic Says thing.
Maybe it was in like special features or something.
I don't know, I remember seeing it. I think there was one about not sitting in tumble dryers or something like that. It was like one if you're playing hide and
It
seek.
might just have not been on the
If you're playing hide and
VHS.
seek, don't
Yeah,
hide
maybe
in
not.
tumble dryers. That's no good.
But that's the most fun.
I remember there. I think one of my
It's a
favorite
great way
ones
to make
was the
yourself
one
go
about
fast.
As a
booze.
kid listening to this, you should totally hide in tumble dryers. It's just the most fun you'll ever have in a tumble dryer.
And if somebody tries to touch you in a place or way that makes you feel uncomfortable, hide in a tumble dryer.
We are joking about this, but people have actually died from hiding in tumble dryers. It was actually a problem a while ago, I seem to remember.
That's weird.
That never would have. I
Well,
never
this-
would have even thought about that.
Well,
Neither would-
you
neither
wouldn't
neither
expect
would-
some really random things
Neither would
like
most people, but you know how how some people are.
it's a surprising number of Americans die because of toilet seats. Actually, there's some really random things people are injured by. Like I think there was a death by tea cozy once.
Oh yeah, there was a death by
What?
tea cozy. Yeah, it was on a QI episode, wasn't it? Like someone
Yeah,
has
that
literally
was it.
killed themselves with a tea cozy. And if you guys don't know what a tea cozy is because you're not British or something, it's basically just like this little material sort of. Yeah, it's just like a little cover thing you put on top of a kettle. Well, a teapot rather, not a kettle. That's a bad idea. But yeah, it's just meant to keep the heat inside the teapot a bit longer. There's literally no way I can think you can kill yourself with one of those things, but apparently someone's done it.
Try to eat it.
The
It might
odds,
work.
the odds apparently is 1 in 20 billion.
Wow. Well, at least
think
as a
they
human,
take that
as a
by
human race,
saying-
we can say we've done
1 in
it.
20 billion. I mean,
We
that's
have
still,
done
that's
that.
still a higher score than Scorpion King 3.
Oh.
That actually kind of reminds me of that terrible line from Lost Boys, where I think it was Corey Haim says "Death by Stereo." Oh God, has anybody else seen that movie?
I want to say
Long
yes.
time
I've
ago.
seen it, but it didn't stick. It didn't stick in my mind long
I want
enough
to say yes
to
just to
really
be hip
remember
and
it.
cool, but I don't think I have seen it. Honestly,
It's an okay
movie
movie for the 80s.
My movie history is probably pretty sparse, to be honest. There's quite a lot of movies that everyone has seen, but I haven't.
Mine's spotty. Like I've seen a lot of movies, but there's still like a decent amount that everybody's seen that I haven't.
Sounds like me.
So you know.
Martyrs, I've seen all the movies.
Yeah, you're playing catch up. You're yeah. Martyr's still got to watch all the Star Wars movies.
Oh, you haven't seen? You haven't seen Star Wars yet?
I do. I haven't seen
I'm
any of them.
I'm still surprised when I meet people
Honestly-
in 2012 who haven't watched Star Wars. It's like one of those things. that
My
just
my
everybody
girlfriend
has.
hasn't seen them either. She's only seen 2 or 3 of
Well,
them.
my fiance, I mean, well, she sort of breezed over them, but my fiance hadn't watched them either. Properly sat down and watched the trilogy, so I ended up buying them again on DVD because I think we lost the VHS tapes years ago, but I got them again on DVD, and I think they had the theatrical.
Which one were they?
They had the theatrical release on them as well, so that's the one we watched. But
Who shot first?
yeah.
Oh
He
yeah.
shot first, which is good. But yeah, it's sort of like in that. I was just surprised that there's still people who haven't seen it yet, who are my age and haven't seen it. It's just like one of those things that I just thought it's like riding a bike, isn't it? That you hear of people who haven't learned to ride on a bike, but you never actually meet somebody who hasn't.
Well, these
How-
days,
how do you
if I were to show somebody like the all 6, if I had to show them the prequels also, they would have to set aside a lot of time because not only would they have to go through all 6 movies, starting with the original trilogy, which Martyr's thankfully doing, then they would have to finish the prequels and go directly into the Red Letter Media Plinkett reviews of the prequels. Because you need to understand why they're bad after you've seen them.
I was just sitting there all the way through it, just
Honestly-
explaining why it's bad. I'm like, now Louise, this is why this movie's bad.
I would honestly go the other way and say that you should watch the new trilogy first, because although it is very objectively bad, I think that the kind of film they're making is a lot different. And so if you watch them first, you'll think, yeah, this is just a sort of... It's one of those films that's not meant to be thought about too much. It's just action, random drama. It's not really important what the story is, but it's just sort of there. so that all the lightsaber battles can happen.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
And I think it's, if you watch the original trilogy first, you'll be thinking, oh wow, this stuff. Well, you won't, because they're really bad if you watch them back, I think. But I mean, I think there's a lot of hate that the new trilogy gets, which it's maybe a little undeserving of. I mean, there's reasons for it, obviously, like the fact that it was a complete betrayal of everything the original trilogy was. But it's rather
I love that.
badly treated.
That reasoning is just like, it's not as, it didn't deserve as much hate as it got. It was only a betrayal of everything the original series ever was.
That sounds like the preface to every single Mass Effect 3 debate on the forums last
there's
year.
something worse than that. Like, there's something worse than a complete betrayal of everything the series was.
I think, honestly, if I were to review the Mass Effect ending, it would probably be, at least it wasn't the new Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But we can't get to Mass Effect 3 because I'll start crying if we do. I mean, it's just too early, guys.
Yeah,
It's too early.
we'll both start crying. I'll just be turned into a crycast.
We can have that.
That was so sad.
The Crycast.
That'd be
I
don't know
do
who'd
feel
want to
like
listen to that.
we shouldn't really mention things like the Mass Effect ending, though, because it will just immediately make half the forums just hate us for having an opinion.
Hey, that's good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You assume anyone listens to us.
That'll get views actually, or listens, or whatever you
Just do
call
this
this.
for us. No one else listens. I just love listening to my own voice.
Oh yeah. I can't get
This is
off
just
any
one
other
big
way.
ego stroke.
Hey, that's apparently all what I'm. That's according to some people. That's all I'm about is ego stroking.
Actually, the funny thing about the Mass Effect 3 forums was, I think that was when, not forums, I'm sorry, when
It pretty much
the debates
became that,
came up
though.
in these forums. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I was active on the Escapist, on and off for years, up until that point, and then when that point came up, for some reason, I became, like, just like everybody else, I became possessed by some insane vengeful spirit to spout out crazy debates for fucking, a month or two or however long it was. It was a long time.
Yeah, it was
And-
impressive how it just took over everyone. I mean, I was completely inactive on the forum for years. I just lurked, and then that came up, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to express my opinion on this, and I just wouldn't stop for a
I think
while.
everyone who played the game, I mean, everyone who played Mass Effect 3, I think everybody just had something to say about it. I mean, the fact that everybody had an opinion on it was, I mean, everyone usually has an opinion on everything, but just how many forums, threads there were on the topic was just for how many people spewing their spleen. It was just kind of venting their spleen, rather. That's the wrong analogy, but yeah, it's just, it was insane.
Yeah. I mean, I like, with all the people who got banned during that time and people who left the website and everything, there's still one person who, for the most part, I mended all. I fixed all the bridges. I'm cool with everybody, but there's one person that, for some reason, I don't know if they're just, like, generally bitter or what, but I swear, whenever I see them in a conversation in any forum, even if it has nothing to do with Mass Effect, they seem like they are still mad at me for having my opinion about Mass Effect.
Just
Like, somehow it always comes back up, and they're like, God damn you,
you
Fappy.
could just be like talking about carrots or something, and you go, well, actually, I don't really like carrots that much. And then he just goes, you said the same thing about Mass Effect 3.
Whatever you say about the ending and the reactions people and the developers had to it, I still think it was pretty impressive that there was such a response to it, and there was an organised response to it. I mean,
I like
regardless of
the
what
Jim's-
people say.
Jim Sterling did a really good, I think if you guys remember his episode he did way back during that whole fiasco, everybody on this website and other websites, like Kotaku and all those other guys, all had something to say, and in large part, most of the community of those websites did not like what they had to say, but I think Jim took the middle ground and came up with a really cool, different perspective to look at it with, so that he didn't really need to pick a side. He could just say, hey, check this out, and everybody else was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. And it helped both sides. Let's put it that way.
I think Jim has a good way of diffusing a situation. He's good at sort of picking a neutral standpoint and sort of helping to appease it on both sides.
He's good at compromising.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, despite the ego, well, the personality.
Yeah, exactly. That's the irony.
Well, his act, isn't it? I mean, he's not really like that. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely an act.
Oh yeah, I've met him in real life at the expo briefly, and he's a pretty nice guy.
His way of diffusing the situation seems to just be to call everyone an idiot and tell them to stop being idiots after telling them why they're being idiots.
That's the best way to do it, isn't it?
The common criticism I see about that is that people say that he generalizes too much a little bit, and when honestly, I think they are just it's kind of like a persecution type deal where he's not necessarily talking to you specifically. He is saying this group.
He's got a 5-minute episode in which to go through all this stuff, and I'm sure he has loads of stuff he cuts out of the final thing. And so you can't get through a 5-minute episode being so specific.
Yeah. And it's hard doing something like that because in any kind of big issue where you're just talking to an audience, there can be counterpoints that could be brought up, but it's not like you can have a conversation with your viewers in lieu of an episode. So some people, get a little too mad about him missing points when in, reality, he's not planning the episode with these people. So everybody's going to be prone to miss some points.
I think with that we should. Well, speaking of Jim, review scores.
I killed it, didn't I?
We should talk about review scores. Is there recently been the whole idea of people sort of thinking we should ditch the numerical review score system. Obviously, Chairman Miaow is very experienced in this matter. Obviously, being part of the group who created the amazingly intuitive new scoring system. So I think we should start with him. What do you think of the numerical scoring system after creating such a fabulous alternative?
Well, I think one advantage our noun out of noun scoring system has is that while, like a numerical scoring system, it basically means nothing without context, it doesn't give people the impression that you hate something or like something. It doesn't give any impression, really. It's just two words put together. And the numerical system, the way it is, might as well be that. I mean, we've already discussed this a little bit before the cast, and I mean, we all kind of agreed that there's nothing necessarily wrong with the numerical scoring system, just that the way it's used is a bit broken.
I think the interesting thing with the noun out of noun thing is it's sort of like a lot of people sort of already make up their mind what they think about something before they read the reviews. I mean, a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people, but some people do.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
With the noun out of noun system, because it literally means nothing, people will read into it what they want. So if they think you've given it a bad review, even though it's a nonsensical sort of score, then that's because they've already decided that they like it, and they think you're being negative about it. They've already made up their mind about it.
What's an example of a score like this? Is it like very shit or very good or what?
Oh, no. It is complete gibberish.
Yeah, what was yours?
Which I think is an important aspect.
Cloud out of Death Star?
Cloud out of Death Star.
So basically, the best way to do this is just look around your desk or your room or whatever, look for two random objects and then score them. So, for instance, I've got teacup out of glasses case. That's a great score for something.
I think that the reason it is good is it's a polite way of saying stop being so lazy, read the actual review.
Oh yeah. See, I as a consumer, I understand the value of having a quick look at a number to tell you basically, oh, this is somewhat good, this is somewhat bad. But I think most people who care about video games enough to look this stuff up generally are just looking at these scores to say, oh man, it better be this score or I'll be pissed off, instead of actually looking at it for some kind of consumer resource. You know what I mean?
I think the interest. I mean, I think the major difference between.
And then they'll disagree with it just based on the score, not on the content.
Yeah. So I think think one of the biggest differences between games and film, in regards to sort of this like a numerical scoring system, is price. So I mean, nobody wants to drop, you know, £40 or $60 or whatever crazy ass currency you use on a game to find that it's not that great. I mean, if it's a bad film, someone will drop, you know, £8 on a bad film. If it's one of those it's so bad it's good films, but nobody wants to drop, you know, $60 on a so bad it's bad game.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing with review scores that is important is, I mean, I don't like them really, because generally, yeah, it's okay to get an overview of it, but there will always be people who, I mean, in a non-professional critic forum, there will always be people who post a review that they'll give it a 0 because the delivery was late, or they'll give it a 0 because they don't like something, or they'll give it a 0 because they're review bombing it. And there'll always be that problem, regardless of what's done to change it. And I mean, professional systems, yeah, if there's some kind of standardized system whereby 5 is average, and, you know, I think then maybe it can advance.
Yeah, and it's like it's sort of bad on both sides. It's sort of like, I mean, more often than not, something with a score of less than 7 is considered a bad game, and then nothing, you know. And the problem is, if everything's getting 9 out of 10, if most of the new AAA titles are getting 9 out of 10, or 10 out of 10, or 90 out of 100, or whatever, then it's sort of it reduces the worth of the number.
What's the point of a rating system?
I mean, it's like, you know, if everything's 90%, then what's good? I mean, if 90% is supposed to be the scale of where something's really good, but then everything's got it, then it's sort of, well, what's the point? I think I've recently seen an advertisement for the new Call of Duty game, Black Ops 2, and it's just like, you see all the review scores coming up on screen, and they're giving it like 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of, well, 99.5 out of 100 or whatever, and it's just like, really? This game is still getting scores that are this high, and it's just for something, I mean, I understand you can have fun with it, but for something that's essentially the same iteration of a game that's been going on for the past several years, and it's still getting these scores, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, you just said 99.5 out of 100, which I think is a good point. I mean, obviously I have to expand on that, but you say that as a joke, and I really think if it keeps up this way, it's going to be, anyone who gives something an 8 out of 10 is going to be saying it's bad, and anyone who says 9 out of 10 is even going to be saying it's bad, and it's not going to be good enough unless it gets 9.5 out of 10, and then it's going to be 9.95, and it's just going to get ridiculous because people are going to keep getting trolled for giving things review scores that, well, I mean, they're perfectly acceptable, but not to the fans.
Game Informer actually is, as far as I remember, like probably as far back as 5 years, maybe longer, they've been using a review system that uses two decimal. I'm so bad at math terms. Basically, let's put it this way: an example of a review score would be a 9.75, and I think that is just far too specific. Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah,
there's no kind of score breakdown.
What makes a 99.5 a lot worse? Yeah.
Yeah, why are we throwing fractions into this? A score should be representative of how the reviewer felt in the text. So if the text is a glowing review, then you don't need some crazy ass like specific number. If we're not going to use letter grades like A or B, just use like, all right, well, I don't think you should ever need to go higher than 5 points, honestly. So if it's really, really good, give it a 5 out of 5. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's fucking amazing.
There's generally 3 systems, isn't there? There's the 5 out of 5, the 10 out of 10, and then out of 100. I think out of 100 is far too specific. It's like, well, what separates 96 from 95? I mean, it's so arbitrary. It's ridiculous. But then I think 5 out of
I think it's a little different with Metacritic. Yeah. Because that's an aggregate.
Yeah, exactly.
Score.
But I mean, for something like singular reviews, there's still some singular reviews that do it out of 100, and I don't know, it's really arbitrary. But yeah, for something that sort of gets the average out of a lot of reviews, that makes sense.
And one other problem is, Metacritic is especially a problem with this, is where it kind of, changes some score. It's a 10-point system, right? So if you have a 5-point system, it imports that 5-point system into a 10-point system, and I don't think a 4 out of 5 game is what the game industry thinks an 80 is, for example, or an 8. They say if they look at an 8 or an 80, they think it's a successful but imperfect game that had a lot of issues. But if you look at a 4 out of 5 stars, generally, like, that's a pretty fucking good game. Do you know what I'm getting at here? It's kind of like the
yeah, that 4 out of 5.
It's all about perception.
That could be anything from 80 upwards, really. 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It could be that the reviewer doesn't want to give a 5 out of 5 because it's not perfect, but it could be damn close. I think the thing with an out of 5 scale is that, I don't know, I think a lot of people assume that a 5 out of 5 means it's a perfect game, but I don't think the scale is high enough for it to be considered that. I think a 5 out of 5 would be something that does have faults, but the faults are so small that you didn't impact your experience at all.
Or that it overcomes those faults because it's just so good.
Exactly. So I mean, like, there's still people raging about the Dragon Age 2 review we had on the Escapist back, and some people still dredge that.
Still whining.
Yeah, people still dredge it up.
People still whine about that.
Who was it review? Was it Greg Tito? Who reviewed it again?
I don't remember who it was.
And then they sort of drag that up every time he reviews something, like it diminishes his opinion or something like that. And it's like, well, no, obviously he really enjoyed the game and he didn't think any of the things that people were complaining about were enough to ruin his experience of it. I mean, it's a pretty understandable point of view to have. I mean, the amount of rage surrounding it was ridiculous.
And the funny thing is,
the only reason I might change my opinion of his reviews because of that is because I might think, oh, he doesn't like the same kind of games as me. Maybe I won't put as much stock in his opinion.
You're at least you're not one of the people screaming controversy or not
the
controversy,
classic one
conspiracy.
Where
but
obviously I didn't like the game, but they gave it a good review. Ergo, the Escapist is being bought out by EA.
Yeah. I have not seen a thread I haven't seen a thread relating to reviews in a long time where someone hasn't accused Susan of being on somebody's payroll.
Oh yeah. The funny thing is I remember this being explained a while back. They sometime shortly after the Dragon Age 2 review, they did I don't remember what game it was, but I think Susan was doing the review and she said that the game didn't deserve a 5, but she thought it deserved more than a 4, and after some talking back and forth and trying to figure it out, they eventually, for that game, they changed it to a 1 point or a half system, so you can get 4.5 stars and stuff like that. And if they had that system in place before Dragon Age 2 came out, it was said that that game would have likely actually gotten a 4.5 stars. If that game had gotten a 4.5 stars, could you imagine how much fewer, I guess, it would be a lot less of a shitstorm, is what I'm trying to say. It still would be a shitstorm, but
we'll never know.
I would think that half score would actually make a huge difference for people's reactions anyway.
I'm optimistic enough to think that it would make a difference, but there's a part of me that says it wouldn't have made a difference. They could have given it a 2.5 out of 5, and people would still be raging that it was too much.
Yeah. I would think a 2.5 out of 5 is actually too much for that game, but that's my opinion.
We really shouldn't get into it, but I was okay with Dragon Age 2. It was a disappointment, but it was still fun.
I didn't hate the game. I didn't dislike the game, but I haven't even completed it yet. I think that says something about it where I just stopped playing it.
That means it's bad.
I wouldn't even say it was bad.
Considering its length, that doesn't really do much for it.
Didn't drag me. The weird thing with it is I really like the writing. The character-wise, I really like Hawk and Varric. I really liked some of the characters in the game and how they were written. But just in terms of the story, it just, after playing something like the original Dragon Age, which is like a continent-spanning sort of war going on, and then having Dragon Age 2, which is just something happening in a city, and it's not really that huge of a deal. It's I don't know, I hate using the term epic, but it's just not really epic enough to keep me interested.
Well, I think they could have easily, they tried a new thing, and they wanted to make it a very personal, smaller scale story, which I think you can do well. It just requires a lot of talent. You need to be really good, and I just don't think they had the focus or the time to pull it off properly.
The whole time while I was playing it, I was thinking, okay, it looks like they had enough time in terms of writing, but then it looks like it looks like they sort of ran out. Well,
yeah, they didn't have enough time for anything. If you compare the frickin' production time from Origins to 2, I think Origins has like 4 years on the second game, something like that. It's crazy.
7 years development time or something for the original, wasn't it? And then like 2 for Dragon Age 2.
Something like that. I think it was less than 2 actually. I think it was a year and a half. Because I remember they were teasing Dragon Age 2 when Awakening came out, which they weren't that far in development yet once they did that, but I think they were far enough to say, yeah, this game is coming out this date. So, you know, who knows how many corners they had to cut to get the game out when they did.
Honestly, my biggest complaint with 2 would be getting rid of the whole Origins thing. Because, I mean, I know it was only a small part of the first game, but I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of made it your character, didn't it? But then with Hawk, it's essentially just it's Commander Shepard with swords, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, total. I mean, it was the same dialogue wheel and everything.
I even felt like Commander Shepard had more personality, though. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe it was because you had more time with Commander Shepard, because you start in the first one and you can build this character.
But again, I mean, he did the thing.
Part of the problem was that your character was like, the way they'd set up the dialogue wheel and the good, bad, and joking one, depending on how you played your character, you could come off as a complete like schizophrenic maniac, where like 1 second you're like laughing at somebody's children like getting slaughtered, and then the next minute you're being like a valiant knight. It just didn't really make any sense.
Another game that had a similar problem was Alpha Protocol, and I mean that game has been torn apart and loved to death at the same time.
I haven't played it at all.
I haven't played that one.
What did you think of it?
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't played it, but it's the classic example of Obsidian's amazing writing with really, really bad just game building.
I got about 3 hours into it and just had to stop.
Oh, that's not a good review.
I think
not a good sign.
I think Obsidian's best work is probably Fallout New Vegas. I mean, I liked 3. A lot of people didn't like 3, but I still really like Fallout 3. But the jump from 3 to New Vegas was brilliant in terms of just the writing quality.
Yeah, I like both of those.
I never played New Vegas actually. I played 3, but I never played New Vegas. But I really liked KOTOR 2. So I mean, I've always been an Obsidian fan. But, you know.
Well, there's a thread you started, actually, Fappy, on the forums about what developer would you follow to hell and back. And in that thread, I didn't actually mention them, but the developer I would follow to hell and back is definitely Obsidian, because I love every game they've ever made. I donated to their Kickstarter for Project Eternity.
I did too. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I know it's a long way off, but I absolutely love them as a company, and they seem like fun guys as well. And you know, I just think they're a great company. I mean, what more can they say? And it'll be very interesting to see whether my defence of them, in terms of they always get fucked over by the producers, is justified. Because
this is the ultimate test.
Them massively, and
LucasArts screws everybody. They fucking. They're honestly on the top of my publisher shit list, higher up than EA and Activision. They hopefully Disney changes. I don't know how much Disney's acquisition will actually change things up on their end, but hopefully it changes everything possible. Everything.
Well, I imagine Disney's acquisition, though, will, in terms of games, you'll probably see more stuff aimed towards the younger generation, which, while not necessarily a bad thing, means that we'll probably never see a Battlefront 3 or a Jedi Knight or whatever.
I wouldn't go that far, because Disney actually, their track record looks pretty good in terms of letting IP owners handle their own stuff the way they want to do it. I'm thinking hopefully Disney changes stuff up more in the managerial sector, where, you know, obviously there's a problem with leadership at LucasArts with a lot of the stories that have been coming out of there. Yeah, it just... LucasArts, after hearing about what they did to, was it Free Radical, the guys who did Battlefront?
Yeah, Free Radical.
What they did to them is just, that is fucked
Honestly,
up. That should not be allowed, and that's not forgivable.
EA have done the same thing countless times before. It's just they'll take a young developer, but they'll take a small developer, just suck them dry, and then just put them in a trench and shoot them. It's just
Well,
Yeah,
LucasArts,
that's the thing.
LucasArts literally extorted them.
did they actually steal money from them?
They
Well,
wouldn't pay
basically,
them.
they made them work on this game for, well, right up to completion, basically, and then said, actually, we're not going to support you on this, bye.
Well, and then paid them no money.
Yep. EA at least goes through the process the legal way. They might be dicks about it, but they're not,
Which is even worse, the fact that
Yeah,
they,
I mean, EA may have a
just
graveyard.
legally, they can legally be dicks about it.
Yeah, they're the Morag tongue to LucasArts Dark Brotherhood. Let's put it that way.
See, going back to the legal thing, another thread that was on the forums was about the, like, I don't care really, but it's like MMA or something, and the tattooist is suing the game company. Oh, it's THQ,
Yeah.
actually. They're suing THQ because they reproduced a guy's tattoo in-game, and it's like, what did you want them to do? Blur it out?
Well, now they
Why
THQ
do
has
you
done
care?
that before. They with their wrestling games, one of the wrestlers has a Pepsi tattoo on his shoulder, and they just didn't include the tattoo.
They've recently, I think the Hangover.
But isn't that like free marketing
Hangover
though?
2 did that recently as well, didn't they? Where he had Mike Tyson's tattoo on the side of his face, but the creator of it didn't want it in, so they had to digitally edit the tattoo so it looked different in the actual like
They
the
didn't
final
edit it.
release. Did they not?
They didn't edit it.
They didn't edit it. All right,
No,
sure
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they didn't. They were going to. They're thinking about it, and then the lawsuit just kind of fell apart.
That's alright then.
Well, I really hope that their lawsuit against THQ falls apart, because they shouldn't have to edit a tattoo just because... I mean, what does the tattooist possibly gain from them not reproducing it? I mean, really? There is no... I mean, he's like demanding like almost all their profits or something ridiculous. And it's just like, THQ is in dire straits as it is, and although as a publisher they're not the best, they have some good developers under their wing, and I'd like to see them do well and get back on their feet.
Yeah, the only thing about THQ I can really say is that at least they're not all these other guys.
The good thing about THQ is just they're not as big of a douche as somebody else.
They aren't
Pretty
the Star
much.
Wars new trilogy.
Yeah. Oh God. No, let's just make a rule never to talk about the prequels ever again.
Just make a blood pact. I'll never talk about it again.
Yeah. Just sign this waiver in blood.
From this day forth, the Star Wars prequels will never be mentioned on the CommuniCast.
I actually did try to watch episode 3 fairly recently, because there was someone on the thread saying it was really good and it was one of the best movies ever.
Oh, what a liar!
And I tried to
I
watch
know
it
who
again
you're talking
recently.
about.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't actually remember who it was, but I was trying to watch it again recently, and I gave up so quickly. It was just, I had no will to go on after about 20 minutes of it.
Did you give up during
I
the
was
scene where
trying.
two characters were sitting down talking to each other, or did you give up during a scene where two characters were sitting down talking to each other?
It was well, it was after the first action scene actually, which was quite a long action scene. I mean, it was literally right after. Actually, I won't say, as Marta's not watched them yet, but yeah, it was early on, and it was bad. I mean, I really
Yeah.
couldn't make it
I
through
look
it.
forward to since Marta's watching it in the right order, I'm looking forward to the praise he heaps on top of the original trilogy, and then the soul-shattering disappointment when he watches the prequels.
But see,
Well,
knowing
I honestly,
I don't think it's.
knowing me, it's gonna go probably not exactly like that, because that
Well,
happens.
yeah. I was gonna say Martyr's probably not gonna give the original trilogy glowing praise for two reasons.
goggles,
He's watching
yeah.
it now when he's 19, and I'm sure he's had it talked up so much at this point that, I mean, he knows probably every main plot twist in the original trilogy, and
I'll
like,
give you another reason. I'll give you another reason. Ewoks.
Yeah,
love
fucking Ewoks.
man. No.
Dude, Jawas were so much cooler than the Ewoks.
Yeah, I love Jawas. I love how Jawas were essentially just
Jawas
were
are
they just
better.
essentially Lucas's way of just putting Jews in the film. Wasn't that? I read
Pretty
some
much.
theories about that. How
Yeah.
the
What?
Jawas were just basically Jews.
Yeah, I heard about that too. And I love what they do with them in Spaceballs.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually gonna be watching Spaceballs right after I watch all 6 Star Wars.
That's still a really good film. That is still really, really funny. I love that film.
I love that movie. Are you what's his name? Fuck, the director's name
Mel Brooks.
of Spaceball. Yeah, are you a Mel Brooks fan?
Yeah. I like. I haven't seen that.
Okay, you'll
many,
probably like it
but
then.
yeah.
Schwartz be with you.
Oh God, I just love Colonel Sanders and Dark Helmet's dynamic. That's probably my favorite part of the movie, is all their scenes together. What's wrong, Colonel Sanders? Chicken? It's fucking classic.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
What?
God damn it, Meow.
I'm surrounded by assholes, Daystar.
What are we going to do about them, Fappy? Whatever will we do?
The best part is we can
The
just
same
keep
thing you
quoting
do
them
every night?
What will we do, Fappy?
Oh,
The same
God.
thing we do every night.
Try to take over the world.
So I think we're at the very long podcast point, and we still haven't talked about Scorpion King 3 enough. I don't think.
You can never talk about Scorpion King 3 enough.
Like, what makes Scorpion 3 the best movie ever made?
Well, it's okay. It's not the best created movie ever made, but it's the most fun I've ever had watching a movie.
I'd have to say the most fun I've ever had watching a movie was probably watching The Ring 2 opening night with a bunch of middle schoolers and high schoolers in the theater.
You know, I actually like The Ring
Holy
2 better
shit.
than the first one.
Well, The Ring 2 has fucking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and his, like, brigade of gangster reindeer trying to kill the main characters.
I never liked The Ring or the original Japanese one. I've not seen the sequel, but the best fun I've ever had in a cinema is with a group of friends of mine. We all went to the cinema together, and the group voted to watch the ABBA film, Mamma Mia.
God.
That was it. And because it had Pierce Brosnan in it, every time he came on screen, one of my friends did the Bond thing.
Yeah. I've seen that play because I dated somebody who was a big theater junkie. And actually, I'll be honest, the play wasn't that bad, and most of the plays she took me to were terrible. So there's
You know what I
that.
thought was a really good film this year? I mean, definitely one of the best experiences I've had in the cinema in quite a while. I think Looper. Looper was really good. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Looper was fun.
I've been meaning
I
to
haven't
watch
seen
I
it.
that.
mean, considering it's about time travel and it manages to sort of cleverly skirt around some of the things, it does raise some questions, but it manages to do it really well. But I just think it's a really well-made movie, and I'm not even a guy who sort of sees movies that often, but I just thought it was a really good movie.
Well, it has Bruce Willis in the middle go, you know what? I don't even care about the time travel element. This is what we have to focus on, and you
But
completely
they just
ignore the
they
time
sort of
travel.
recognise that there's just going to be time travel shit, and that they just say, just don't talk about the time travel shit. But yeah, I mean, I remember,
that's
I remember
good.
seeing the trailer for it, and I recognised that guy. And then when they announced that it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I was like, no way, that's not him. It looks nothing like him because of what they've done to make him look like Bruce Willis. And it's amazing what they did, the small thing they did to him just to make him look like Bruce Willis. So I think they only did like two things. I think it was I think they made his eyebrows bushier, but they also sort of did something to his mouth. They made his lips thinner and wider using some clever makeup tricks. And the change it does is amazing.
Was he a ghost the whole time?
No.
No.
Damn it. I have this weird thing where you never want to watch a movie with me because I'll call twists like way earlier than it's even supposed to be evident that anything is going to happen. I don't know why, but for instance, I will not name the movie because I don't want to spoil it. It's actually one of my favorite movies. In this movie, at a certain point in the movie, the main character fucks a character who is his daughter, but he doesn't know it's his daughter. Like, she's an adult now.
I know that film already,
Okay.
and that is great.
The second scene they're in together, I'm like, oh god, he's gonna fuck her. That's his daughter, isn't it? Oh, no, I'm sorry. They fuck, and then the scene immediately after that, I'm like, they're just talking randomly, like walking down the street. I'm like, that's not his daughter, is it? It was awful.
I don't know.
I also guessed the terrible ending of Serbian film, which I don't want to discuss here
People watch
because
that.
Yeah,
don't wanna discuss that
is something
film
that should not be
anywhere.
discussed by anyone.
Serbian film is an awesome soundtrack. That's the best part of the
You had
movie.
your hands over your eyes the entire time.
It's a funny story. I watched Serbian film for the first and only time with my best friend and my sister while sitting in a bed watching it on a laptop. I watched that movie next to my sister.
Speaking of twists, though, one of the worst films ever. I mean, my girlfriend told me it was good, and then I tried to watch it, and I was just so bored. It's Signs, and
yeah, Signs was pretty bad.
He outright tells you what the twist is half the way through. And I mean, there's so much stuff in that film that makes no sense, and I'm not just talking about like the plot. I'm talking about the directing and the acting.
Yeah, but welcome to M. Night Shyamalan. So there you go.
Yeah, he just made the one film and then he just went bad.
Yeah.
I think we should.
No, Unbreakable.
What was the good one he made?
Unbreakable, I liked more than The Sixth Sense.
I actually liked Unbreakable more than.
I loved Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's made two good films.
Well, I liked The Happening more than The Sixth Sense too, but just because it was really funny.
I've not seen The Happening. I've seen of his films other than those two. I've seen The Village, which I thought was shit, and The Signs, which I thought was shit.
Lady in the Water?
Actually,
no, not seen that.
Unbreakable is probably one of my favorite superhero movies, if you'd call it that.
Yeah, I'd call it that. It was really good. I liked it.
It's good. I mean, it is a superhero sense.
I mean,
yeah.
Samuel Jackson's character was awesome.
He did a really good job.
It would have been nice to see more come off that. Like, because there's so many superheroes, and I thought he was quite an interesting one.
Well, they were planning a sequel
anyway.
They were planning a sequel to it, but that fell apart.
I'm kind of glad it doesn't have a sequel, honestly. I like where it ended because it raised like a really good kind of question at the end, and it was just like, oh shit, the end.
Well, I mean, if it had continued, there's always the possibility that it would have gone the way the rest of M. Night Shyamalan's movies have.
Made it, it was going to go shit, wasn't it, really?
Then we get Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 3.
Well, we're coming up on the half an hour mark now, so I think we should sort of wrap this up using a series of arbitrary questions. Okay, apart from Scorpion King 3, what's your favourite movie, Marta?
Let's go with Snow Angels.
I don't know what that is.
I've never seen that.
Okay, it was a 2007 drama with Sam Rockwell and Kate Beckinsale.
I love both of those actors. Well, Kate Beckinsale, she's hot as hell, but Sam Rockwell's an awesome actor.
And Beckinsale actually gives a good performance in this, so there you go.
Actually, so she's not acting Underworld style then.
No, not quite.
She was probably the best actress in Van Helsing. I mean, I like Hugh Jackman, but he was pretty bad in that
Richard
movie.
Roxburgh, who played Dracula in Van Helsing, he was the most
he was pretty good, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He was good. And the Friar.
How bad the movie was, I think the one good thing about the movie was just how solidly everyone acted the parts. I mean, the script was freaking terrible, but the parts were acted really well, I think.
I liked Van Helsing, man.
See, that's one of those films I don't remember well enough, but I have a general feeling of enjoying it. So
yeah, I had a lot of fun with Van Helsing.
In case I hate it.
I reenacted the ending of Van Helsing and Dawn Guard when you fight the Dragon Lord at the very end of that quest line. I shapeshifted into a werewolf. It was awesome. The best part is the Vampire Lord form looks exactly like the Dracula at the end of that movie.
Okay, for Fappy.
I might have to watch it again.
Okay, Fappy, do you have any plans to expand your fluorescent ferret business?
Well, first I need to figure out what the fuck a fluorescent ferret is. I think that is plan A, and then plan B is question mark, and plan C is profit.
You're really bad at this. You have this whole factory dedicated to making these ferrets, and you don't even know what they are.
I majored in journalism. Business was never my forte.
He wakes up in the morning with a huge stack of money, and he doesn't know where it came from. So, I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, Chairman Miaow, if you were some kind of sandwich spread, what would it be?
I think it would definitely be crunchy peanut butter.
Not smooth? I always pictured you as smooth.
Yum.
Oh, I cannot stand smooth. It's horrible stuff.
I don't think we can be friends anymore.
Well, that's fine by me.
Break up on the CommuniCast.
If you like smooth peanut butter, I
don't like peanut butter at all. I hate the stuff.
I like peanut butter, but I hate the smell of peanut butter. It drives me crazy.
Peanut butter as you can get is Nutella, which isn't really peanut butter.
I think I might just leave the Escapist. Marta, can you ban me?
I can if you really want.
And that was the last anyone.
Okay, my love of
heard
peanut butter is not that great.
Mao.
Are you going to ask yourself a question now, Daystar?
Okay, I've got to think of one.
I think the only question Daystar could ask himself is, how big does my ego have to get before I ask myself a
Answer that
question?
I mean, I'm literally looking at the Escapist now, and I've got someone's trying to join the Brovengers, and there's literally a request from someone who's made an account called Daystar's Ego. Right, no, seriously, I am not shitting you. This is actually just happened.
You gotta let him in.
Get in Brovengers chat after this, and I'll show you. There's literally someone who's just made an account to do that, and it's like.
I have several ideas of who that might be.
But, yeah, on that bombshell, I think we should leave it. We have to do the Fizz's outro noise. We have to go boo 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 boo.
Yeah. Dancing in her outro.